Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Into the 99 podcast, where we've got 99 cards because Commander is number one. I'm your Necromancer with all the answers, Necrozak, and today I'm joined by my awesome friends, Lotus and John. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing really well. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. We're getting closer to Christmas, and it's like one of my favorite times of the year, so just, holiday spirit just out the wazoo.
No. We're getting closer to Kamigawa.
Well, if it's
Honestly,
if it's anything like past Kamigawa,
we're gonna get Kamigawa Neon Genesis. Mark my words.
I'm fine with that.
It's just the next step in the evolution.
Yeah.
I would be completely okay with that. But today we're not here to talk about Kamigawa. We're still dealing with Innistrad, and we have a deck tech for a deck that I brewed with Runo's Stromkirk. This was one of the cards when I saw it spoiled. I was very excited to build around because I like doing a lot of random things in Magic, and I get to do a lot of my favorite random things in Magic in Dimir, especially with this guy. So if you don't know, Runo's Stromkirk is a blue and a black for a legendary creature vampire cleric. That's a 1/4. It has flying, and when Runo Stromkirk ETBs, put up to one target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If it's a creature card with mana value 6 or greater, reveal this way, transform Runo Stromkirk. And on the back, we have Korthus, Lord of the Deep. It's a 3/5 with flying as well. Whenever Korthus, Lord of the Deep, attacks, create a tap and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those tokens instead. So just a ton of value off of this guy. There's a lot of really cool synergies and a lot of really cool ways to brew Runo, and I just kind of slammed them all together. And I probably did some stuff that is less than optimal, but that's how I brew. Not always perfect, but I'll have fun, and that's really all that matters.
Fair enough.
So my overall theme for the deck is wanting to really take advantage of Runo's first ability on the front, being able when it ETBs to throw a creature in grave, and as soon as I can transform him, the deck kind of shifts into high gear and into kind of a more aggro style deck. But we're going to get some of the first, the easy stuff out of the way before we get into the convoluted mess that I have constructed. So we're going to talk about ramp. If you are following along with us, the stats for the deck show that my mana curve, the average CMC is 3.36, which honestly isn't that bad, all things considered. This deck's wanting to see creatures with 6 CMC or greater constantly, so I think I nailed it on this one. So starting at the top for ramp, just oldie but goodie, Arcane Signet, 2-drop artifact tap, add 1 mana of any color of your commander's color identity. We're going to want this stuff. There are a lot of things that are calling for double blue, double blacks, so being able to just hit those pips as needed is super, super helpful. Next, we have another card that I don't see often played, and it's kind of silly because you see High Tide a lot, but we have Bubbling Muck. It's 1 black for sorcery. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps a swamp for mana, it produces an additional black. You know me, so you know that I'm playing Urborg in this deck, so Bubbling Muck can get very, very out of hand. And we're playing with a lot of very expensive creatures, so being able to generate, 6, 7, and even 8 mana is very, very important. So Bubbling Muck can get us there. Someone want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. Wait, my list is kind of messed up.
Oh, no.
Did you want me to do it while you try and find it?
Go for it.
So the next one is Burnished Heart, 3 mana elk, the only thing that can't be affected by Oko. It's a 2/2 with 3. Sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle.
Yeah, we just, this is good value. At worst case, we can replay it off of Runo by, casting Runo the next turn. Put it back in hand on top of library. Just ramping in Dimir, pretty straightforward. Next we have Chromatic Lantern, 3-drop artifact. Lands you control have tapped, add 1 mana of any color, and it taps for 1 mana of any color. Once again, with all the double, and I don't think I have any triple pips, but double pips are kind of a necessary evil for the stuff that I'm wanting to do in this deck. So being able to just ensure our lands are never going to kind of screw us on what we need is is super important. So chromatic lands. And we have Dimir Signet, also just kind of a necessary evil. 2 for an artifact, pay 1, tap it, and it can add a blue and a black to your mana pool. For some of the weird things that I want to do in this deck, I have Expedition Map. It's a 1-drop artifact. You can pay 2, tap and sack it, and you search your library for a land card. Notice it says a land card, not basic land card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. I have a few different lands in this deck that are utility lands that are going to help us kind of do the weird stuff I want to do. So having an expedition map to go get those lands is really important because I don't run a lot of like tutors for non-basic lands.
Oh, is that the new Commander Black Soul Ring?
Oh yeah, anything Commander Black I could put in here I did because they're absolutely beautiful.
I did like the Commander Green, and I'm glad that they're slowly doing each color. But there, this is actually stunning.
Yeah, all the Commander Black stuff, I was just like, this is amazing. It also wouldn't be Zac deck if I didn't have Solemn Simulacrum. I put this in every deck I play because there's no reason not to. It's a 4-drop artifact golem, 2/2. When it ETBs, you search your library for a basic land card, put on battlefield tapped. When it dies, you draw a card, or you may draw a card. We're playing graveyard shenanigans, so just being able to play Solemn multiple times in a turn or multiple times back to back is going to be really helpful for a lot of these big creatures that we're going to need to get to if some of our other stuff gets shut down.
I'm glad there's a talisman in here because they are so underused. It is people go nuts for Arcane Signet, and it is just an Arcane Signet if you're in a 2-color deck. And if you don't like it pinging you, it taps for colorless anyway. So they need more love.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for me to go like Talisman, tap to pay for a Signet, which is perfectly fine. And the life loss is, irrelevant, honestly. And finally, to round out the ramp section, I have Thran Dynamo. I have the Secret Lair, the Hexacore. It's also just absolutely beautiful. 4-drop artifact that taps for 3 colors. So that's my ramp. We need to run a lot of like ramp to get there in case my shenanigans aren't going the way I want them to be going. And whenever we talk about ramp, I also always bring up my card draw section. So over here in card draw, I'm starting off with something I think kind of flavorful because on your face this looks like it would be a sea creature deck. We'll get into why it's not a sea creature deck, but we have Biden of Thassa, 2 double blue for a legendary enchantment artifact. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. You can pay 1 in a blue and tap it. Creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able. So it's really nice if you have a lot of big dudes that they don't want to swing into. You can really force someone to attack someone else, which is a lot of fun. And also, like, we're an aggro style deck, so being able to draw a card whenever you deal combat damage to a player is really nice. Someone want to take the next one?
And then up next is Brainstorm. It's a pretty standard for card draw, I'd imagine. Sculpts your hand, kicks anything you don't necessarily want right now. If you have a really big creature in your hand, you can just filter it back on top of your deck and try to find more ramp, more lands, stuff like that.
What's really nice about Brainstorm is it also helps us to flip Runo earlier, right? So like being able to, like, if you have that big beefy dude in hand, you can Brainstorm to put it back on top and do the thing with Runo.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it is add up. Lotus, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, so we have Frantic Search, 2 and a blue for an instant. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Untap up to 3 lands. So in theory, it's free.
Yep. There are a lot of
unless you've got something like I don't know, Shrine to Nyx, and you can untap that and make extra mana.
That's what I was going to say. There are some utility lands that we want to be tapping and untapping multiple times a turn. So Frantic Search can really net us a bunch of, like, extend our plays, greatly, because we are also playing a lot of reanimation in this deck. So we might be drawing 2 cards to reanimate a ton of creatures and generate a lot of mana. The next card is one of my favorite cards in Dimir, and it's worded very awkwardly. I really wish we would get a more friendlier worded version, but it's Lim-Dul's Vault. It's 1 to black for an instant. You look at the top 5 cards of your library. As many times as you choose, you may pay 1 life. Put those cards on the bottom of your library in any order. Then look at the top 5 cards of your library. Then shuffle your library and put the last cards you looked at this way on top of your library in any order. So basically, this is just another way that if I want to transform Runo, this guarantees that I can transform Runo. Or if I have some weird, like I'm searching for that, ramp, like John said, or I'm looking for more card draw or whatever, the Limb Duels can like get me there without honestly having to waste too much. And life is, whatever. We're gonna have really big creatures, and we're playing blue, so we can pretty much guarantee that like we'll be all right.
Ooh, I have yet to see this card. Otherworldly Gaze. Oh, it's opt. Scry one, draw a card.
Go ahead and take Otherworldly Gaze, and we'll talk about all of them.
It's a 1 mana instant for blue pip. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on top of your library in any order. Then 1 and a blue for flashback. I think that's actually a really good card.
Yeah, I'm running a lot of brainstorm type effects in this deck for that, for the reason of being able to want to flip Runo. But what I love about Otherworldly Gaze is that not only could I potentially guarantee to flip Runo, but I have more reanimation targets engraved because of this card. You guys know as well as I do, like, I love doing this kind of stuff. You mean to tell me I could just trash cards and then play them for much, much cheaper than what they were intended? Yeah, I'll do that every day. We have Ponder next, which same thing, just more shaping, more brainstorming so that we can set up Runo and its incidental card draw. Preordain, basically the same thing.
You got Read the Bones.
Mm-hmm.
This is a card that sees a lot of play. 2 and a black, sorcery, scry 2, then draw 2, then lose 2.
Yeah, I love Read the Bones. I put in every single black deck that I play because it's just good. And the last card on the list is Sea Dasher Octopus. I don't think it'd be a Zac deck if I didn't have some kind of mutate creature, because I love mutate so much. So it's 1 blue for an octopus that's a 2/2 and it has flash. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, and it mutates for 1 and a blue. So yeah. I'm going to put it on something to draw cards whenever it attacks.
It's also kind of nice for your other spells, so you have like your zombies, so if you can't... Oh, that's a spoiler.
Nah, that's fine.
So if you can't turn things into zombies with Xenograft, you can turn Gray Merchant into an octopus.
Right. So, like John started talking about, there are some very weird things going on here, but we're going to start off with the section 1 fish. So, at the very top, we have, how do you say this, Brinelin? I don't know, the Moon Kraken, 6 double blue for a legendary creature Kraken. It's a 6/8, and when it ETBs or whenever you cast this spell with CMC 6 or greater, you may return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and it has partner. So it's in here because A, it's a Kraken, B, it's beefy, and then C, like that ability to just bounce stuff is really, really good. We're going to be able to do a lot of really silly things in this deck, and being able to make sure that anything that could potentially stop us that's on the field, getting rid of it by putting it back in someone's hand is going to be paramount, or it might just help us set up for an alpha strike to take someone out. Someone take the next card?
We have Death Baron. He is a zombie lord and a wizard. Skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. Pretty basic lord. He's really good for zombie decks.
Yep, very good for zombie decks. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
This is an old one.
I love this card so much. Please, Lotus.
Filth, 3 and a black for an incarnation, 2/2 is Swamp Walk. As long as Filth is in your graveyard and you control a swamp, creatures you control have Swamp Walk.
It bums me out in Modern Horizons 2 that they reprinted Wonder but not Filth. I think Filth is the best of the incarnations, honestly. Like, having haste is cool, like off of anger, but Filth, like, we can guarantee Swamp Walk very easy in this deck, and Swamp Walk is just so hard to deal with. John, you want to take the next card since you kind of already talked about it?
Yeah, Gray Merchant of Asphodel. Gary, he's a good guy. Sorry about that. When Gray Merchant of Asphodel enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. He's a really good finisher in black decks. I've been killed by it more times than I can count, and I have killed it more times than I can count before it can kill me.
So, Gray Merchant's in here for a couple of different reasons. Like John said, we can use it to basically finish out a game if the if we just can't amass a large enough board state. But also, we have a couple other things that really do care about paying life to do stuff. So Gray Merchant can, we can get super low on life, and then Gary, I should say, can get us back to a reasonable place, and it allows us to use our life to be able to do some of the fun stuff in this deck. Next, we have my favorite kaiju. We have Gigan, Cyberclaw, Terror, also known as Garuda, Doom of Depths, 4 hybrid blue black, legendary creature, Demon Kraken. It's a 6/6. It has companion. We don't care about it in this deck this time. When Garuda enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you put a creature card with an even converted mana cost from among them onto the battlefield under your control. This kind of does everything we want to see in this deck. It's the right CMC to flip Runo. It's a Kraken, which is also good because we can get an extra copy of it. It's a 6/6. And then it's also letting us reanimate something, but also put more fodder in the graveyard so that any of our necromancy spells can hit it or hit something and bring it back. So it's just all around good value for this deck.
Inkwell Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
7 blue for a 7/11. A Leviathan. Island Walk Trample with Shroud. Just a big boy to flip Runo, yeah?
Mm-hmm. When I first started playing in Legacy a long time ago, my Reanimator deck played Inkwell a lot, and it's just fun. So I couldn't not include it in a deck that kind of cares about series. Lotus, you want to take this next one too?
Sure. Lorcan Warlock Collector, 5 black for a devil, 6/6 with flying. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. If you do, put it onto the battlefield under your control. It's a warlock in addition to its other types. If a warlock you control would die, exile it instead.
So, this might seem out of place, but just keep this in mind as we get to the next section. This card's going to be really sweet and do a lot of fun things. Next, we have Nemesis of Reason. 3 blue and a black for a Leviathan Horror, 3/7. When it attacks, defending player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So it's just a good card. It's a 3/7. It's a 5, so it's right below where we need to be with Runo. But what it does is can potentially extend and make plays for us that wouldn't be there normally. And for some reason, people don't like to mill. I love milling people, so Nemesis is in here. The next card, you guys know, it's one of my favorites. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. 3 and a blue for a legendary creature, human rogue, 3/1. When an ETBs, it becomes a copy of another target creature you control, except its Sakashima of 1,000 Faces has its abilities, and the legend rule doesn't apply to permanent control. That last line of text is huge because there are some legendary creatures that I want Runo to make copies of, or I want to make copies of. So turning off the legend rule is going to allow for a lot of very, very silly things to happen.
Are you also running Mirror Gallery?
No, I thought about it, and I might take something out later in the utility section for Mirror Gallery, but right now I just have Sakashima because I have so many things to reanimate things that if it gets killed, I should be able to reset that. Johnny, want to take this next one?
Yeah. So for the next one, it's Serpent of Yawning Depths, Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents. That is incorrect. Correct, Wizards. I've found incorrect grammar in your... It is octopi. But anyway, you control can't be blocked, except by Krakens, Leviathans, Octopi, and Serpents. It's just a really good way to ensure that you can hit, and you can hit hard.
And it's that magic CMC of 6, or mana value, whatever you want to say. Next we have Slinvada, the Risen Deep, 6 double blue for an 8/8 legendary creature Leviathan, and it has kicker for 1 and a blue. When it ETBs, if it was kicked, return all creatures to their owner's hands except for Merfolk, Kraken, Leviathan, Octopi, and Serpents. So this is just another, it's a board wipe on a creature that happens to check the 2 boxes that we need of being above being at or above 6 CMC and being a Leviathan.
And the award goes for naming the original card, Rexel the Risen Deep. 3 blue black for a Kraken 5/8, Island Walk and Swamp Walk. Whenever Rexel the Risen Deep deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead.
Yeah, it's really good. I was very excited to put it in this deck. Alright, so that was our 1 fish section. It's basically our creatures. Now we have 2 fish. This is where things start to get weird, but I think it starts to make sense as we get further in the deck. So the first card in the two fish section is Cleaver Scab. 3 and a blue for a zombie horror 2/4. You can pay 3 and tap it. You sacrifice another zombie to create 2 tokens that are copies of that sacrificed creature. It's a very strong and very good card.
That is evil.
It's awesome, right? I'm gonna take the next card too because it's my namesake. We have Necro Duality. 3 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token zombie ETBs under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. It's very good. Someone want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure.
This is getting confusing for me.
just buckle up. It's fine.
Okay.
So we have Reflections of Litjara. This is a Kaldheim card.
Mhm.
As Reflections of Litjara enter the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of chosen type, you copy that spell. A copy of a permanent spell becomes a token.
And it's 4 and a blue, and it's also an enchantment. Lotus, you want to
And
take?
then you've got Rooftop Storm for all your Krakens. 5 and a blue enchantment. You may pay 0 rather than paying the mana cost for zombies creature spells. Sure.
We also have Rite of Replication. 2 double blue for a sorcery with kicker 5. Create a token as a copy of target creature. If that spell is kicked, create 5 of those tokens instead. Yeah, we're just making copies of things, guys.
Of what?
Well, we'll get there. So now our next section is Redfish. This is our interaction section, so to speak. The first card was Counterspell. Double blue, instant. Counter target spell. Short, sweet, and just beautiful. We also have Engulf the Shore. 3 and a blue for an instant. Return to their owner's hands all creatures with toughness less than or equal to the number of Island Troll. This card is very good in this deck because we have a lot of beefy creatures. So chances are it's a one-sided board wipe every time.
Feed the Swarm, the good old new card. 1 and a black, sorcery, destroy target creature or enchantment, which is the most important part.
Yep.
Lose life equal to the permanent mana value.
We need it. Gotta be able to deal with those pesky enchantments.
And we have a little bit of creature removal with an Infernal Grasp. Destroy target creature, lose 2 life.
We have another board wipe in Inundate. It's 3 triple blues, sorcery. Return all non-blue creatures to their owner's hand.
So, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just, at this point, why not just run Psych Rift?
I don't know what that card is.
Cyclonic Rift?
I don't know what that card is.
Wow, that is sad. You and
Yeah, there's a running thing between Zach and Dan that card is evil and should never be played. I'm one for it.
I just don't like Psych Rift just because there have been too many games I've played where I've played it and it's slowed games down to a grinding halt, and I've had it played against me where it's done that. Inundate is just at least could potentially just end the game. I don't know. I just don't like Psych Rift. I'm a very big proponent of not every deck needs Psych Rift, or not every deck needs Fierce Guardianship, or Mana Drain. I have the cards, but
We have very different philosophies.
Hey,
I will run a Psych Rift in a green deck if somebody lets me.
Well, hey, that's just how I play, man. Next we have Negate, a 1 and a blue instant, counter target non-creature spell, which is good.
And then you have not Cyclonic Wave, Cyclonic Wave version Whelming Wave. 2 blue for a sorcery, return all creatures to their owner's hand except for Krakens, Leviathans, Octopi, and Serpents.
Alright, so that was our Redfish section, and now the section that really matters and pulls the entire deck together, the Bluefish section. The very top card is Arcane Adaptation, 2 and a blue enchantment. As an ETB, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control are their chosen type in addition to their other type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield.
Now I'm understanding a bit more.
Yeah. You want to take the next one, Lotus?
Well, Conspiracy, 3 black is an enchantment. As it comes into play, choose a creature type. Creatures that you own that aren't in play, creature spells you control, and all creatures you control are the chosen type.
So we'll come back to Conspiracy, but I have things I need to say about Conspiracy. John, you want to take the next one?
Maskwood Nexus, another Kaldheim card. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a reprint?
No, it's just from Kaldheim.
It sounds familiar. But anyway, creatures you control are every type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And you pay 3, tap, create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling.
And the final card in this section is Xenograft. As it's 4 and a blue for an enchantment. As at ETBs, you choose a creature type. Each creature you control is a chosen type in addition to their other type. So the Bluefish section here pulls the entire deck together. One of my favorite things to do in Magic is to make creatures whatever I want them to be. And these 4 cards allow me to do that. Arcane Adaptation, Masswood Nexus, Xenograph do something very different than Conspiracy. While they sound the same, Conspiracy supersedes and just makes creatures that chosen type. Whereas Arcane Adaptation, Masswood Nexus, and Xenograph, well, Masswood makes everything. But Arcane Adaptation and Xenograph make them the whatever type you want in addition to their other types. So Conspiracy allows us to do a lot of like weird things, like with Lorcan, for example. It's a combination I've been wanting to put in a deck, and I just haven't found it until like this one, where we can name, I don't know, Leviathan. So every time a creature goes into the graveyard and we pay the mana value, it comes onto the battle, our side of the battlefield. It's a Leviathan instead of a Warlock. There's a lot of weird synergies going on here, so that creature doesn't get exiled if it dies. Lots of weird stuff. So that's that section. We have two more sections to go over. We're in Necromancy now, my absolute favorite section. All these spells are going to bring creatures back from the graveyard in some form, or they're going to put them in the graveyard. So the first one's Animate Dead. It's 1 and a black for an enchantment. I'm not going to go through the entire nonsense that is this paragraph of a card. You enchant a creature in a graveyard, enchant a creature gets neg 1 nego. If Animate Dead leaves, the creature gets exiled or dies, something. I don't know. Too much to read. Just know it reanimates a creature.
Wow.
That's a whole paragraph. That's a whole paragraph on there. I'm not doing it. Someone want to take the next card?
Sure. Buried Alive. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Search your library up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, and shuffle your library.
Just good old Entomb times 3. Next we have Dance of the Dead. It's 1 to black, enchant dead creature. That's what the card says. It's basically an Animate Dead, except you have to pay a 1 and a black to untap the creature. John, you want to take this next one?
Speaking of Entomb, it's Entomb. Instant one black pip, search your library for a card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Really good. I run it in more than a few black decks.
And what most people forget too is it's for a card. So if you have a card, like it typically gets creatures, right? That's what we typically think. But also like it can hit like my what's that card called? On flashback, Otherworldly Gaze. So if I needed to, for some reason, be able to play Otherworldly Gaze that turn, I could Entomb Otherworldly Gaze, pay the flashback cost, and play it from grave. Next, we have Living Death, 3 double black sorcery. Each player exiles all creature cards from his or her graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures he or she controls and puts all cards he or she exiled this way onto the battlefield. So everyone just flips their graveyard for their battlefield. This card has either ruined my games or has won me games. I love it. There's no in between. I've never had like a mild Living Death cast. Next we have Necromancy. It is essentially Animate Dead, except you can play it at instant speed, but then you have to sacrifice the creature at the end of turn.
You got Persist, 1 and a black sorcery. Return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1 counter to it. Which, if you're running Leviathans and things, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah, like it's whatever. Next, we have Phyrexian Delver, 3 double black for a zombie 3/2. When it ETBs, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You lose life equal to that card's CMC. We have Reanimate, that does the exact same thing as Phyrexian Delver for 1 black, and it's a sorcery.
Oh, is that the secret? Is that the Commander Black one as well?
Yep, every Commander Black card I could put in this deck.
I didn't realise this was in the Commander Black.
I know, isn't it beautiful?
Baron Sengir, death is a small price to pay for immortality. Huh.
It's great, right? Oh, so good. John, you want to take this next one?
Phyrexian Delver?
Stitch Together.
Oh, wow. I was reading through the cards slowly. All right, anyway. For 2 black pips, and it is a sorcery. It looks like Commander 2018. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and it obviously has Threshold, because all good cards do. Mm-hmm. Return that card from your graveyard to the battlefield instead if 7 or more cards are in your graveyard.
We're only ever going to cast it for Threshold. I refuse to ever cast it without Threshold.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
I'm not that dead. Next we have Unmarked Grave, 1 and a black for sorcery. Search your library for a non-legendary card and put that card in your graveyard and shuffle. Just pretty good. And the final card in this section is Victimize. 2 and a black sorcery. Choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen card to the battlefield tapped. Then we can move on to utility. Lotus, you want to take the card at the very top?
When you say utility, there's nothing labeled utility unless you're talking about enchantment.
Huh. On mine it's labeled utility. It might be enchantment. We have Helm of the Host is the card at the top.
Then, yep, that's the one. 4 mana for a legendary equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of a quick creature, except that token isn't legendary. If the equipped creature is legendary, the token gains haste and equip for 5.
That's so silly. Like, why it's utility on mine. I don't know why it's enchantment on yours. But yeah, this card's great. So if for some reason you have 1 billion mana and you play Nemesis of Reason, and then you play this, and then you equip it to Nemesis of Reason and move to attack, so you can instantly mill someone. Which, honestly, once we get into the land section, it's pretty easy to get a lot of. So the next card is the card that I was thinking about maybe taking out for Mirror Gallery, but it's Mind Crank. It's 2 for an artifact. Whenever opponent loses life, that player puts that many cards from the top of his or her library into his or her graveyard. With so many... With me running so many different reanimation effects that hit any graveyard, Mind Crank is really good because you just people instantly lose life in Commander, right? Oh, I'm going to pay 1 to sack my land to go get another land, or I'm going to shock in this, shock land or whatever. So Mind Crank, just whenever anyone loses life, this happens. And we're also playing a lot of really big creatures that we should be able to get through at some point. So we open up a lot of different targets in grave. Next is another personal favorite of mine that goes in every deck I play is Phyrexian Reclamation. 1 black for an enchantment. You pay 1 to black. You pay 2 life. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Maybe you just want to recast Gary again. Someone want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. So we have Quicksilver Amulet, and it is 4 colorless. It's an artifact. Pay 4 tap, and you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Because we are playing so many large creatures, if we're kind of stumbling on mana, being able to have something like Quicksilver Amulet is going to really help us get a board presence fairly quickly. And if we can only use it one time, typically the creature we're playing with, it's probably going to be okay that we only got to for 1 turn. Lotus, you want to take the last card?
Yeah, I was going to say Soothsaying. It's a card that I don't see enough of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a single blue enchantment. 5 blue. Or is it 5? No, 3 blue. Shuffle your library. Or X, look at the top X cards of your library and put them back in any order. If you have excess mana, why not just reorder the top of your deck?
It's nice too because once again, like if we've just been like if we have it in our opening hand, there's a good chance we can play it, and then we can play Runo, and then because it's we can do that at instant speed before our upkeep, we could do the thing or whatever. And it, like you said, Liz, if you're looking for something specific or you're just have the extra mana, why not, oh, cool, I have 10 extra mana for some reason. I'm just going to look at the top 10 cards of my library and rearrange them how I feel like. Or I just shuffle my deck, whatever.
Yeah.
So that is the utility section, or in case of Lotus, it's the enchantment section because Architect didn't save it correctly. I'm going to talk about some lands because there are some lands that are, I think, super important to kind of go over. So normally I always play Urborg in any black deck because I love Urborg and I play Filth in every single black deck. I typically don't play its counterpart, but it is in this deck. So in case you don't know Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth is a legendary land. Each land is a swamp in addition to its other types, which pairs very well with Cabal Coffers. Typically, I don't play them together, but for this deck and the creatures being so large, and there's a lot of things we want to do with extra mana in this deck, Cabal Coffers seems like kind of a good thing to play here. It's 2 tap, add black for each swamp you control, so they kind of synergize together pretty well. Next is Cavernous Souls. As it ETBs, you choose a creature type. You can add 1 colorless by tapping it, or you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. You can only spend mana to play a creature, cast a creature of the chosen type, and it can't be countered. So because we're able to choose what creatures, or basically what type we're playing with at any given time, Cavernous Souls is basically a command tower that makes our creatures uncounterable. We are running Command Tower, and it is the Commander Black one. It just adds 1 mana of any color of our commander's color identity. I also run Crypt of Agadim with so many ways to put creature cards in my graveyard. It seemed like a very good card. So with ETB's tapped, you can tap it for a black mana, or you can pay 2 and tap it, and you add black to your mana pool for each black creature card in your graveyard. So we are running a lot of hybrid creatures and just mono black creatures. So being able to tap, pay 2 and maybe get 5 out of it is still very good. And if we're running something like we run Frantic Search, so being able to, play Frantic Search, tap it again to net more mana to extend our turns or to do something extra is really helpful. Outside of that, we're running a lot of like different duels, and a couple other utility lands aren't really that like explosive, but they're just like kind of what you would expect: Myriad Landscape, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Path of Ancestry, Rogue's Passage, and yeah, that's my deck. That's fishing around with Runo. I really like this deck. It's a lot of fun because it does a lot of really interesting things, and it's, from what I've experienced, it doesn't play the same every time because I run so much reanimation that I'm playing out of other people's graveyards, and that leads to a lot of really interesting creature dynamics that you wouldn't normally have access to. Being able to have a Sun Titan from someone that's now a Leviathan that you're able to make copies of is super silly, or just being able to Rooftop Storms out a Rexiel or Slim Vada and pay 2 to just wipe the board is so much fun. It's really cool. It might not be the most optimal deck. Like, I'm sure I could replace a few things and put in some tutors so I can guarantee I'm hitting my stuff from from my Bluefish category, so I can constantly make sure I'm getting the creature type I want. But as it stands right now, it's just a lot of fun. Do you guys have any inputs or questions or anything?
Yeah, I would take out where is it? Myriad Landscape, and I would replace it with Shizo Death Storehouse.
To give him fear?
Yeah.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
I think I would rather take out a Swamp and leave in Myriad Landscape so I can fetch more lands.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I forgot about Shizo, which I run in my Graven deck, so I shouldn't have forgot about. But yeah, I love utility lands so much, and a lot of them have become much, much cheaper because of reprints and like the mystery booster stuff.
I'm pretty sure Shizo's still ludicrously expensive for what it does.
Fair.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
No, I think it looks pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm looking at the only thing, mind you, it's not really going to... Well, you can choose any creature type, so I suppose Quest for Ula's Temple might have been a good choice.
I thought about that, too. I just wasn't sure what to cut, because I got to the point where I was like, man, this seems like I just really like everything in here. Because I don't know, I think my utility section that we kind of went over, I could probably kick out Quicksilver Amulet and Mindcrank for Quest of Ula and something else. Those are the two cards that I'm kind of like, Mindcrank's just fun because like it punishes people. I get more chances to reanimate people's things, to do more silly things, because that's the real fun of the deck. Like, being able to do your stuff and people are just like, why is there a Rooftop Storm if you're only playing Leviathans, is a lot of fun. But when you get to the point of being able to, like I said, bring someone else's stuff back, it's like, oh, that I don't know, Shieldred or Elish Norn suddenly being able to do a lot of dumb things that it wasn't intended to do is always a blast.
I do have one more suggestion.
Yeah, sure.
Seeing as you're on a zombie theme, kind of, this is something that kind of makes sense to me, but Scarab God seems really good in the deck because even if you can't get your recursion, you still have a zombie in play that can recur any of your cards, and then they come back as zombies.
I forgot about Scarab God. Do you remember if it's 5 CMC or is it 6?
It's 5. I think all of the zombie gods from Amonkhet are 5.
Well, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely throw that in here somewhere. I'm sure there's an easy cut that I could make for something like that. I probably would just remove a reanimation effect, but cool. Well, guys, that's Runo Stromkirk. If you guys have any suggestions or want to tell me how bad this deck is, please feel free to reach out to us. We always love hearing back from the community and knowing like what you guys think about what we're doing or brewing or how you would have done it or what you would add to it or take away. Let us.
And definitely add your suggestions of Cyclonic Rift.
What card?
Oh, you'll find it.
Okay. I feel like I've never heard that card ever.
Well, it's not a very known card, Zach, but it really does work, and you should put it in the deck.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Inundate seems pretty good.
It's a sorcery, and it's 3 blue pips, which is kind of hard to cast. I think Psych Rift is just an easier to cast and a better card.
Well, I do have Whelming Wave.
Ah.
All right. With that, Lotus, you want to tell the people where they can find us?
Sure. So you can go to our one-stop shop, which is intoThe99.com, where you can find all of our links to our articles, our YouTube channel, our Discord, where we have lots of chats going on about brewing decks, where you chat to us live. We also have every month we'll do a Brewing It Live with special guests where we brew a Commander deck on stream with the help of you guys. So check out our Twitter for the next one. And then we've also got our Patreon and merch store.
Yeah. And feel free to follow us on Instagram and say hi. And I think that's all we got. So thanks for joining us. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.
See you.
Take care.